Infosolutions dan Berhad with the topic of credential security and observability in the era of AI. Here, as governments accelerate AI adoption, securing credentials and maintaining visibility across systems are critical to protecting citizens and data as well as for the public services. So we'll touch upon securing APIs, helping agencies strengthen security and resilience with supporting AI-driven initiatives. So I'd like to invite up to the stage our keynote speaker is Mr. Hemant Prasan, the founder and CEO of Crest Infosolutions. Whenever ready, over to you.
Selamat pagi and good morning. It's better to be free than to be bound to the podium. That's what I think, at least in the morning, we can walk. It's a pleasure to be here, and thanks, Naksa, the organizers, for giving this opportunity to be here with you this morning. I'm going to talk about credentials. Dato Sri earlier mentioned about passwords and how everyone is concerned about their passwords being compromised or being known to someone, and that's precisely what I'm going to cover later. So I hope all of you had a good breakfast and a coffee in the morning. How many of you did watch the football match last night? Any hands go up? No? All of you are very hardworking. So I wanted to attend the session, so nobody watched the football match last night. Okay, so I'm going to get started with my presentation about credential security and observability, specifically in the era of AI. I mean, we did have challenges with the compromised passwords and so on, but how AI is actually posing even bigger challenges and how do we mitigate is what I'm going to talk about. So one word, credentials, when it comes to the mind, typically, as Dato Sri talked about, we only remember passwords. Unfortunately or fortunately, passwords are not the only credentials that we as an IT people will have to deal with. There are various types of passwords. So if you are not in the development or system administration, then this is a knowledgeable slides for you. Your system administrator will have to deal with various different kind of credentials. As I said, the password is just one, API keys, SSH keys, certificates. There are so many varieties of credentials that IT people will have to deal with. And with more and more applications, database and AI coming in, this landscape is just going to grow, right? DB logins and so on and so forth. Now, when there is a variety of credentials that we have to deal with, whether it's applications or databases or SSH keys and certificates, it's a very typical behavior, human behavior, that we actually keep credentials everywhere, right? The developers will check in the credentials or keep the credentials in their Git platform or Bitbucket, whatever that you use if you're a developer, if you're a programmer. Sometime I think we are very casual to say, hey, I cannot log in it. Can you give me the admin password in my Teams chat? And we just share casually, okay, this is the password. Later you delete it, huh? But by the time, we know what may happen. We'll come on to that later. Applications talk to each other, so whether you are integrating with some MCMC applications, regulator one, or BNM applications, or LSTN applications, right? So there are a lot of machine-to-machine communication that actually happens. And I think a lot of agencies are also onboarding onto the cloud. So hybrid is the new way to go. I think a lot of your applications still run in your servers, but some of them are still running in the cloud as well. So the hybrid is the way to go. And these are all the places or the stories where the credentials basically hide. And that's what even gets more murkier, because now you have AI. A lot of you, I won't say a lot of you, I think I can just assume very safely, all of you use ChatGPT in some form or other, right? Some may use Google Gemini, some other I think my team is possibly more IT savvy than me. They use all kind of AI to do the posters, the banner, the Canva AI and whatnot, right? So one human is now dealing with a lot of other AI platforms as well. And these platforms like Microsoft Copilot and all allow you to build agents. Again, I know the hands will not go up, people are shy in the room, but many of you might have actually either taken a training or built an AI agent yourself as well. And each of these agents perform specific tasks. And this agent ecosystem is going to grow, and every agent also requires authentication. They also use credentials. So one human is now being sprawled into multiple agents with multiple credentials. So the landscape keeps growing and growing even more. And what is the typical credential lifecycle? I go back to my previous slides, right? The developers create the credentials, keep it in the DevOps, they store it in the CI/CD pipelines, you use it. Again, the hands won't go up if I ask, how many of you actually store your credentials in Excel sheets? Nobody will raise the hand. Many of you do, because I've seen that happening, right? So it's a very typical human behavior. A lot of agencies do use credentials vault, right, which is definitely the best and the recommended way to go for it. But the challenge here is there are too many people, too many inventories, federated ownership, and federated control. Even more harder to basically manage. So the journey within the last, I would say, a minute or so, I have taken you from the passwords to where the passwords are, various different kind of passwords, if I can still classify the SSH keys and the certificates and the tokens as the passwords, and with multiple teams managing it. Bahagian aplikasi has its own management. The PDSA has its own management. The server guys have their own. The collaboration guys have their own. The database team has its own credentials. They manage the database credential. They don't allow you to touch it, right? So every team has their own credentials. Every team has their own way of managing credentials and their own way of governing and auditing it. But how many of them actually follow the best practice? And do you have an enterprise view in your agency of how all credentials are managed? And if you don't, it's a big risk. One credentials somewhere, and this is what can happen. 80% of the data breaches worldwide actually happen because of the compromised credentials. And these are the stats. I have given the link in the bottom for the source. The average detection time before a hacker gets your credentials and that you know that your credentials has been stolen is 200 plus days. That means more than 6 months. A lot of times we don't even know that our credentials have actually been stolen. There are a lot of news. I have some of the clippings in the later slide where the organizations, agencies come to know 6 months later that somebody was actually leaking my data. Why I did not know it? Because I thought it's my credentials or my colleague's credentials. So it is him or her or the application that was accessing the data. I did not know that the credentials had fallen into the wrong hands. And somebody was impersonating my user or my data. The average cost, and this is a US data, I think we don't have such data, possibly from Malaysia. Hopefully Naksha can make some study and get the local stats, but this is a US stats. Average cost of one breach is $2.6 million. Difficult to quantify, but sometime when you have the stolen credentials and then you have the ransomware asking you millions of dollars, that's where the number is basically driven. The AI reduces this detection time to 100 days, but a lot of work still needs to be done. So that is the cost of invisibility. You don't know. You have credentials, you may have 30, 40, 50 passwords, secrets, SSH keys, tokens, and it's completely invisible for you to basically know of where your credentials are, who is using it. Very important. You have credentials, but do you know who is using those credentials? Are these the right actors within your organizations who are using those credentials? or your credentials have already been compromised, while you may be happy that your password is in a password protected Excel sheet, but someone is happily accessing your system using your credentials, and the audit now belongs to you. So that is the cost of invisibility, right? The blast radius can be even greater when you have one leaked token which can access your API ecosystem. You can have your citizen data somewhere, you can have your identity portal, your payment gateway, one token, one entry point in your house, and all the rooms, your storeroom and everything else actually gets compromised. So one leak credentials, one privilege misuse can impact entire service, whether it's a citizen portal, whether it's your tax portal, or whether it's your healthcare records or any other application, right? So that's some of the headlines. I dare not put some of the malicious headlines. I think we have seen a lot, but I just wanted to be safe that nobody is catching me on the stage to say, well, that's not true. So these are some of the verified ones. Very recently one, the July 2026, the Singapore Land Authority one single credentials which was shared within a collaboration site impacted the data of 70,000 people, very recent. Then we have the Indonesia one, the National Data Center. The ransomware was able to hack into the internal network of the organization. And typically this is where I think as an IT people, we take it a bit easy sometime that I only have a public facing portal, but my internal applications are in my private network. They are not publicly exposed. They are not publicly used. So I can have my connections as HTTP and not HTTPS. I can have my application talking to my database in a non-secure connection without having an MTLS. So even when your PHP application, your Java .NET application is talking to the database, the ransomware sits between your application and database and steals it within your server, steals the credentials within your local network, which is not even exposed to the public. So the threats are getting bigger and bigger with the time, and of course with the arrival of AI, right? Microsoft AI, GitHub repo. One token and you have 38 terabytes of data being stolen. Don't even know. And usually these incidents are discovered post facto. That means sometime days, sometime weeks, sometime months, and possibly only when a ransomware agent calls you for the money, until unless you don't even know. So even Microsoft wouldn't have known if they wouldn't have dialed Microsoft or emailed Microsoft and say, okay, give me $1 million, then I give you your data. Oh, is it? How do you have my data? Oh, because I had your credentials in 6 months, and I've been downloading your data for the last 6 months. Typically, this is how it happens. So how to basically mitigate these scenarios? As a human, of course, it's not possible to keep monitoring everything in the real time. There are systems, there are database, there are applications. So we bring in Stack Guard, which basically means all your stack, your application stack, your database stack, your network stacks, your collaboration stack, all of it will have to be continuously scanned and monitored using an engine which has patterns of about 1,500 plus. It knows how the password patterns are. It knows how the SSS keys are. It knows how the certificates basically look like. So what StackGuard does, it does a continuous radar to discover if any credentials in your IT ecosystems are either misconfigured or left unmanaged, unsecured. If you are using something like a Vault, HashiCorp Vault or Azure Key Vault or AWS KMS or AWS Secret Manager, you are possibly safe. But even then, someone might actually take a certificate out of the vault and share it through Microsoft Teams. It happens, right? So what StackGuard does, it continuously monitors all the tools, application, database, network, servers, communication between the servers, communication between the application to application, microservice to microservice, application to database, and so on. It monitors it, and then it analyzes the traffic in the logs, in the file, in the communication, and then it remediates in real time. So Before the hacker gets your credentials or your token or the secret, StackGuard gets that, informs you, remediates it, puts it back into the vault, sends you a notification, whether in Microsoft Teams or in the email, that, hey, look, I found your password or your token unattended, and I have secured it into the vault. Please go and look into it. So all of that actually is done using a continuous monitoring pattern that StackGuard basically provides. Whether it's your DevSecOps flow, you're using GitLab, GitHub, Bitbucket, anything else, Jenkins, and so on. Whether it's your infrastructure, your Linux servers, Debian, Red Hat, Enterprise Linux, or Ubuntu, or so on, or whether you're using your cloud, AWS or Azure IAM, Identity and Access Management, or you have deployed the AI agents. And AI agents can possibly be more lethal than anything else. I'm sure you would have heard about a news of an AI agent deleting the production system of a big IT company in US. Production systems, including the backups. So what StackGuard basically does, it guards those IAM roles and puts a boundary around of what a rogue AI agent can never do. That's the governance part, right? I mentioned about Microsoft Teams earlier, right? It monitors entire chat history. It doesn't read. We don't read your chat history. It's StackGuard which analyzes the chat history, and any token, any credential, certificate shared in a Microsoft Teams chat, StackGuard promptly flags it, removes it, puts it into the vault, informs the user you're not supposed to do it. Because next time anybody else can actually hack your chat history, take away your data, and then compromise your systems. So when you are taking these actions, what is important is the contextual visibility. StackGuard just doesn't simply removes the token. It actually gives you the complete attack path, complete blast radius, that if you had one password, one token, one certificate unattended, what could possibly go wrong? Which applications, which database, which network it can access. And when it can access, what can it do? Can it read data? Can it write data? Can it delete data? So you get a complete contextual visibility about what one password, one token, one secret can do to your environment. So you can prevent the future incidents because you can pinpoint exactly how that secret was actually leaked or who actually put that secret in the code or in the file or in the chat. So you can actually prevent the occurrence. That is important. So StackGuard detects the leak, makes the policy trigger, backs it to the vault. As I said, we do support various type of vaults based on the policy. You can either remediate those secrets to the HashiCorp vault if you want to have a self-hosted in your environment, your local servers key vault, or if you're already using cloud, then we can also do it. StackGuard can also remediate it to the Azure Key Vault, the AWS Secret Managers, and so on. And finally, what StackGuard with vaults does, it ensures that your credentials are being dynamically generated and dynamically rotated. So you don't have any static credentials anymore, which may fall into the wrong hand. Just imagine if you're accessing your bank account and you have one password. Instead of you remembering the password, you have a service which changes your password every maybe 21 days or every 15 days and so on, and you don't have to bother about. So same happens with the applications and the database. Vault allows you to automatically rotate the credentials. So even if, God forbid, despite having StackGuard, your credentials are still compromised, they are not compromised beyond a time period because the credentials are being automatically rotated. I mean, there is a policy by NIST in US which is anyway going to mandate that every certificate will have to be rotated 47 days, 47. It used to be 365, it came down to 180, and now NIST US actually recommends to rotate your certificate, your SSL certificate, basically cryptography certificate, every 47 days. Now you have hundreds of applications, hundreds of databases. You need to keep an army of engineers to rotate those certificates every 47 days. StackGuard with Vault does it for you automatically and then keeps you informed that your systems are secure, your credentials are being rotated on a regular basis. Right, and I think many of you might be already using some sort of observability solutions like IBM Instana or Dynatrace and so on for the servers, for the applications, for application performance management. StackGuard plugs into your existing monitoring solution for observability, and any logs also. So even if an application is leaking out the credentials in the logs, StackGuard flags it out. So even your logs are actually being monitored and remediated on a real-time basis. So the value that you get is from a leaked credentials to the continuous trust. As the public service officers, the end goal for the agencies is to win the public trust. If one breach and the trust is actually gone. So to achieve the end goal, you need to secure your systems, you need to secure the data. Without securing your credentials, it's hard to secure the systems, it's hard to secure the data, right? So in the end, StackGuard basically does the citizens' data protection, increases the public trust in your agency, and also provides the digital sovereignty. Crest, my company, of course, we are based here in KL. The solution is developed and managed locally. So we make sure that the agencies in Malaysia do get the prompt support and the digital sovereignty that you're basically looking for. And that future-proofs the security of your systems with AI-ready defense. So the built-in secrets engine, which I mentioned about 1,500 plus credentials using the AI, even if there are new patterns which are actually coming in, the StackGuard engines gets those patterns and analyzes it using the AI engine, and you get a unified observability. I guess I have more than 8 minutes left for the next speaker. Thank you very much for your time today. You want to have a discussion with me, I will be there in the other hall at booth 108. Thank you very much for your time today. I'm not sure if any questions are allowed, but I'm happy to take since we have 8 minutes.
Okay, we still have time. Anybody want to direct any questions to our keynote speaker? Yeah, feel free to do so. We have the microphones in between the lorong in the lanes there. Okay, any questions? If no questions, okay.
Yeah, don't worry, I'm not going to ask you how you manage your credentials today in the Excel sheet or flat files.
Don't ask for their individual details.
No, I mean, their bosses might be sitting here as well.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Have a good day ahead.
Thank you. Okay, to our speaker, Mr. Heman Prasad, the founder and CEO of Crest Infosolutions, Berhad. Okay, so we are basically having our next session here in the main stage only after 2 p.m. So feel free to visit the exhibition area, which is just next door in the Putra Hall, and also for we have the luncheon later on. So delegates, feel free to have the luncheon at the F&B zone, which you might have already passed. Okay, that is where you can have the F&B, and 2 p.m. For 2 p.m. we'll be having our next session in the afternoon, sponsored by Cybertronium. And for some of the invited guests, the VIP luncheon is in Hall 8, sponsored by Huawei for those invited guests. Okay, we have a token of appreciation for our speaker. Okay, let's see if our speaker is still around. Where is he? Where is Mr. Heman? Okay, we'd like to invite up to the stage Encik Nur Afindi bin Abdul Halim, the Director of Licensing and Industry of the Tech Division, to present the token of appreciation to our speaker, Mr. Heman Prasad. Let's bring both of them up to the stage. Mr. Heman? Or is he moving back to his booth already? No issues. I think we'll be passing the token of appreciation to him at his booth. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, next session, you can also drop by all the other sessions, exhibition booths, and also the other workshops. And here is coming at 2 p.m. Okay, thank you.